ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमतो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Last time I think I mentioned the brief of this mantra, the Shanti mantra. So the first part seeks yogyata siddhihi for this knowledge. So the body and mind should get that yogyata. So that was mentioned. The second part is shraddha. Maham Brahma Nirakuriyam. Let me not reject Brahman, the idea of Brahman. Because many tend to reject it as well, that can happen. So that's why Shruti knows this and they have already given this and they have embedded it in the prayer itself. That let me not reject Brahman. So that is Shraddha. And the third one is Upanishadsu Dharmaha. Ya Upanishadsu Dharmas te mayi santu. So it is mentioned. So that is basically Sadhana Chatushtaya. So basically we also want Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. So that's what is mentioned as the crux of that particular Shanti mantra. Fine. So last time what we saw was whatever concepts were mentioned earlier, where the essence was that the sense organs individually cannot reach Brahman, and Brahman we take to be the ultimate cause. And even mind, which is put together all the senses, also cannot reach. Buddhi also cannot reach. So cannot reach means it is in a particular sense, that it cannot reach that as a tangible object that way. Also, since mind is a derivative, it cannot reach in that sense as well. I'm getting this example of a socks actually. So I think when we fold a sock, sometimes what we do is we keep the pair of socks to ensure that they are together. I think we just fold it inside out and then put one inside the other one. So there, the mouth of that socks is able to take its own self as well as the other socks, which is the pair of that actually, into it. So mind is not like that, where it can expand to the size of Brahman to swallow it. It cannot do that actually. So Brahman need not be swallowed as well, because Brahman is the only thing in which everything exists. All that has to happen for this Indriya and Manas and Buddhi is for them to just understand that they are thriving in time, in space, both of which are in consciousness. And that consciousness, which is given the name Brahman, is everywhere. So basically they have to just understand that they are thriving in that, and their individual self, whatever credence that Jiva has given as a credence to that Buddhi and Manas, taking that to be the whole unit, that mistake alone has to be removed. So the affiliation was with something which is time bound. That's why that so-called confused owner had the problem. The moment that affiliation is left, automatically he reclaims Swarajya, which is himself totally. So that's what is uh, the point. For example, this may be a simple example, you can say, may not be exactly to that. If there are two political parties and maybe multiple political parties, and one of them has hardly two MPs as representation, or even not even maybe even zero representation, but then they thrive as a party. So if someone by mistake affiliates themselves to that particular party thinking that's so powerful, whatever, and then they realize no, that is not that powerful, that's very limited, the bigger thing is elsewhere. So then obviously all that they need to give up is the affiliation, that's all. So that's a very simple example, you can say, not exactly this situation. Here in this situation, there is definitely a seemingly owner who limits his existence to the size of the skin, where the boundary stops, and all the systems that play within this system, within this skin, all functions, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, all the pancha prana, all the circulatory system, this system, that system, every system, digestive system, all systems. So is one person who's just fixing his idea to the physical size of this body, and that's where every problem starts. So all the Shastra is saying is that this entire thing what you see is gross body, subtle body, causal body. It is explaining this idea of body and ownership in many ways. So in one form it says gross body, subtle body, causal body. In another form it says Annamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. So in different forms it explains what is in front of us and what we take ourselves to be. So that part it explains part by part to a level that when we understand all those parts, we understand definitely we are not any of this. If someone like the way for example, if someone is asked if there is a piece of meat kept outside, if this person is asked actually, are you that, this person will be yelling at the person who's asking this question, what do you mean actually, how can you ask me whether I am the piece of meat which is outside, how can you say this? That would be the reaction. And if the next question is, if a person is operated for whatever gallbladder stones, since I have that condition, I can say that example. So the doctor says just get it removed, problem is resolved. Okay, so he gets it removed, and after that, to some extent, people own it, and they want to see it also. Can you show what you removed? The ownership is still there. But anyway, you keep it there for 2-3 days, and then at least objectivity would have come by that time. By the time when someone wants to get discharged, if by chance they say नहीं sir आपने तो आपका body छोड़ के चले गए, आप ले लीजिए, आपका चीज़ है ये, you will never take it actually, you would want to बहुत से निकाल दो भाई, throw कर दो, don't give it to me. So in that sense, when it is asked, are you this, then you will say what, you are ridiculing, but 3 days before you took yourself to be that. 3 days before. So the maturity changes when objectivity is brought in. Now, in this example, when the tissues or the organs are completely detached from the nerves, the way it is, cut or whatever it is, and then taken out, that's the only time when mind is willing to accept that now it is not me. Only when the nerve system is cut, we accept that it is not us, it is something different from us. Until the time they are attached to us sensorily. This is where sense organ is very important. So the sense of touch is one of the main sense that makes us understand physically where are we expanding up to, what is the limitation. So that it gives us the sense. So as long as the sense organs work, they will keep bringing back the sense that I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. So minus the nervous system, there is no sense actually. So this body mind sense complex, this technology is so weak. Just give one anesthesia, cut it, cut the sensation, there is no sense. After that you come back and say, I don't know where I was. So it is such a flimsy, not filthy, it's more a flimsy thing actually, that just one medicine which can cut off the signals, everything is gone. Kartrutvam at that point at least is gone. Kind of, you can say, to some extent it's a Sushupti, you can say, to some extent. So this is the state of body, and when understood objectively, part by part, this is Annamaya, take out Annamaya. So like the way we just gave up the gallbladder stone, of course yes, and also gallbladder itself, because that's an organ we can afford to lose. So nail, for example, so we gave it up gracefully, right? There we don't pick up the gallbladder and put it back saying, no, this was mine actually, boss, you better give it back. After 1 month we don't go back and say, yaar, to aapne nikal liya, theek hai, maine to nahi realize kiya, but I'm realizing, no, you give it back to me better. I may attach it like a purse with me, at least, if not inside. So that people do a lot of times. I'll tell you how. When Shastra is explaining, it is basically making us understand things like this gallbladder only. When it is talking about Annamaya, in Viveka Chodamani, I borrow Viveka Chodamani all the time. Here also it makes sense because this Upanishad lists all the sense organs, and then they're making the statement that no, you can't reach Brahman. So that's what is being made. So this is more Jnanendriya that has been taken care here, right? Karma Indriyas are left out here, Jnanendriyas are taken care actually here. Viveka Chodamani was dealing with all this. So there what happened, if you take the Panchakosha point, Shastra was first saying that this entire body is made of Anna, which you take yourself to be. The entire thing what you take yourself to be, this I am this, so and so, 50 kgs, this height, that height, is made of food. And then they say, acha, so what is the trick in saying this food? Actually, there is a trick. By saying it is food, Anna, there is a trick. What is the trick? Anna is outside. It is not growing in me. It is growing outside. It is in the field. It is on the field actually. Anna is outside. And even if somewhere someone were to be a non-vegetarian, they are eating that which was feeding on the primary food. So food is always primary. So Swamiji always very nicely says, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, food is vegetarian, always. Food means it is vegetarian only. So the sun energy is very nicely used and converted into food that only plants can do. Other things cannot do, only plant can do. That's why it's called a primary producer. So by saying it is Annamaya, the person is told very clearly saying, boss, just understand, you are taking yourself to be this. When you take a license, they ask you actually saying, please give prominent marks. Prominent marks, okay. So for example, in my case, I say mole on the forehead. So jokingly I say that, I say forehead and finally, kind of this moves back, hair moves back. Then I should say mole on the face actually, because relatively it has already come down. So you can say that actually. So this is how, we identify ourselves actually with all the physical features, right? So by saying Annamaya, the system is making us understand how flimsy it is. It is there. If the farmer is not producing, I will not get food. If I don't get food, body will not sustain. And then I have to ask myself, what kind of creature I am actually? What kind of thing is this body which has to keep on depending on something? And it is almost like, an AC where you have to keep on filling gas or change the fan, keep doing something or the other actually to maintain it. So Shastra, by saying Annamaya, was trying to bring in objectivity. Just like the gallbladder, when we understand something objectively, we should be throwing it out for good and not go back to that hospital and claim that gallbladder back. So that is what is meant actually when Shastra makes someone understand something objectively. So what is objectively? What is objectivity? Anything other than oneself, right? You are the subject. Everything else other than you is the object. That objectivity we are talking about. So it started with Annamaya, then it went to Pranamaya. So because prana, the entire energy, the entire system what is running in, it's a system that is running actually because of an energy. So then it takes that subtle, that's more little bit subtle. It's felt inside, but it is little subtle. In fact, it is felt by others also. When you want to hit someone, that prana only is able to help you do all that. That also it says it is idam. So that is also an object. Similarly, Manomaya, it goes subtler and subtler and subtler. Manomaya, then Vijnanamaya, then Anandamaya. So the Shariratraya was expanded little bit more and even more objectivity was brought in. So the idea of dissecting all that and spreading it out like a buffet was that you are the person who's seeing the buffet and you are not the buffet. So that is what was the idea. But having listened to that, still mind will not allow that clarity, that real objectivity to come in. One will put everything on oneself as a totality in that sense and walk as a buffet only all the time. Where Shastra says, boss, buffet to outside hai. You are the guy who's witnessing the buffet. No, here is one dish. Everything we take as a dish and keep on walking. Just imagine. 2 gulab jamuns, so many things here, and then you keep walking. And system is making you understand that was all this is something which is changing. It is, I think dish says, when I say dish in buffet, it connects very well to Annamaya. It is Annamaya. Just leave it. So claim yourself as your original, non-changing entity. That's what Shastras say. So while saying that, so what is the method it is adopting? There are two things. One that never changes and the opposite, right? The one which keeps on changing. Nitya, Anitya. So what is Nitya Vastu? Nitya Vastu Ekam, Brahma Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Anityam. This and that Nitya and Anitya. That's all. This is the model. Now, when someone has to be explained what is Nitya and what is Anitya, Nitya Vastu is something which is not changing at all. So you can't explain it much more than saying that it doesn't change. But everything that is changing has its own color, this. So you can use certain guna to point them out and say, boss, ye tum nahi ho. But as far as Nitya Vastu is concerned, yes, you seemingly give some kind of guna, not for saying that it has gunas, some properties, just to distinguish. So we say Sat, Chit, Ananta, Sat, Chit, Ananta. So those things we use for explaining what is Nityatva, what is the Nitya Vastu, what is the characteristic of the Nitya Vastu. Though it is Nirguna, mind still wants something. It is like saying, one guy was told, saying, he asked, Acha, ye kya hai? Then he said, no, that's a secret. So then the other guy said that, I like secret a lot actually, please tell me. If it is a secret, how can it be revealed? So similarly, what is the Nitya Vastu is the question. Then Shastra says it is Nirguna. Please tell me what are the gunas of that, I want to understand. What do you mean by Nirguna? I want to know the guna of that. Nirguna bole to wapas kya karenge? Then Shastra has to come down to that level and give something, no. Then it has to give Sat, Chit, Ananda as the kind of characteristics for it. From that sense it is mentioned there. So there is nothing much to talk about Nitya Vastu. All that one can identify is Anitya Vastu, because Anitya Vastu has all the guna in the world that is possible, shades of gunas in the world that is possible. You take species, I think millions of species. You can say you are not frog, you are not this, you are not that, you are not that, you are not that. You are none of these things. You are not this body, and then it can come up to that level actually. And you take colors. Colors, I think the way we simplified, we just say 7 colors. White light has that kind of spectrum, but within that you can probably go to thousands of colors. Any aspect you take in the world, it can be really built million times than what it is today. And that's why we have the possibility of so many PhDs, If at all in the world, only 10 things can be known. Only 10 equivalent of knowledge is available. Only 10 PhDs can be there. That is not the case. World is so much. And to really understand, samsara, people are still trying to understand what is samsara. So PhDs, there is so many PhDs will be coming in, because it is the world of guna. The world of guna offers so much of possibility, because that's what guna is all about. So while explaining, Shastra briefly says what is Nitya Vastu, but all the time it talks about the variable, because variable thing is much more appreciated by the mind. That's the reason why the variable thing is discussed more. This is why Shastra keeps talking about Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. So coming back to the point, objectivity is when a person has become objective to objects. And Shastra shows this entire body mind sense complex as an object. Then who is the inquirer? That's where the point is. That's an amazing junction actually. The junction is where this entire Anitya Vastu at a subtle level, okay, that's where the Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya, at that subtle level is able to connect this entire Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, everything, as well use the power of consciousness, and then has the power to get confused. That is also its own power. Every power is there, right? The Swamiji very nicely says, consciousness blesses everything, including ignorance. That's an amazing thing. If there is ignorance, if Ishvara's world is knowledge, he cannot say that no, I want a demon's world also equally to be elsewhere, because he has to borrow ignorance from there. It doesn't happen. Even if it is demon's world, it belongs to Ishvara only, because that is what totality is all about, right? Otherwise, Ishvaratva, where it will come from? So, bringing objectivity is understanding and drawing a line between us, the one who is inquiring, and those things which this person is not. That is why all this Panchakosha was explained, for us to throw them out. But mind being what it is, until the time it gains that absolute objectivity, it will be confused with all this koshas. That's the reason the kosha is mentioned. Actually, that's the reason Shastra is calling out that point where mistake is happening and mistake can happen. That's why it is talking about it. So this objectivity is very important, and that's what is was said in the previous verses, where it was saying that none of these indriyas can actually fetch Brahman and cannot go and embrace Brahman, because Brahman is everything, and that is you straight away here. So that IKEA part will come later. So that's the reason you cannot gulp it. You don't need to gulp it actually. So that's what was being said, and the same thing is narrated in the form of a happening. So where a yaksha appears, and then Swamiji says that when it is a yaksha who is appearing, it is shown as Ishvara. So the difference between Brahman and Ishvara, one has to know the technical difference. Brahman and Ishvara. So Brahman is Nirguna Brahman, okay, and the name Ishvara is given as a person who is creating the Jagat, that way. So the Ishvara is the one Jagat Karana. Jagat Karanam Brahma finally is Ishvara. So that's why the name Ishvara is used actually. Because for a transaction, right, finally we need a person. For example, we know company exists. But to represent the company, finally we want a managing director whom we want to hold responsible and who's the one who's running the company. We fix it on a person, right? So that person is Ishvara. For us, for Upasana, Ishvara we need. This is how it works. Srinaji, Ambikaji, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. So what is Jagat, sir? I mean, is it related to this world or is it related to this universe?
Jagat is everything what is here in the space, everything, including space. This entire Panchabhuta and what is there in that. So the entire thing is Jagat. World. Jagat is world.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So basically it is mentioning that the pancha indriyas, they cannot reach Brahman in that sense, and Brahman is the totality, and here Brahman happens to appear in the form of Yaksha, so more you can say Ishvara, and when Devas, they were rejoicing their victory and taking the ownership of victory for themselves and not to Ishvara, because Ishvara is the one who is the world order, and ideally they should have attributed that victory to him, which they didn't do, which means they were just forgetting everything and they were in that Annamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. That's where they were in, and that's where they had to be given a message. So that's what is depicted here. So when Yaksha appears, first Agni goes and he is not able to understand, and Swamiji is written very nicely. Agni goes and asks who that Yaksha was. So Yaksha is that Brahman basically. So Brahman says, who you are. So he says, do you know who you are first? So then he says, no, I'm so and so and so and so and so. So basically Swamiji says that he makes him understand that first he has to know himself before he wants to know Brahman. So that's the concept being depicted there. Again Vayu goes, and again Brahman asks Vayu also the same question, who you are. When Vayu asks him, who are you? Then he says, can you tell me who you are first? So that's what he's asking. See, basically, the seeker wants to know totality. What this Lord is all about. Nityavasti Vekam Brahma. I want to know Brahma. But knowing Brahman is not the real point where the pursuit has to be. Knowing oneself has to be the pursuit. So action has to come here, not on other side. So that's where that point is being depicted there. Again, Indra here. Okay, so those devas, they are all equated to different sense organs, and as I said in Tattva Bodha, the presiding deity of each of the sense organ, Karmendriya as well as Jnanendriya, they are mentioned, organs of actions as organs of sense. So it is already mentioned there. So they are all devas, and the lord of all these devas is Indra. So he is Buddhi, he is equated to Buddhi. So when he goes, when the others are not able to find out who this Yaksha is, then he goes there. That's when that Yaksha disappears. So even when Buddhi goes, okay, Buddhi is someone who can control all the senses, and that's why he is the Lord, no? Indra, he is there. And when he goes, the Yaksha disappears, and Haimavati, Uma appears there. So she is Parvati. So she is depicted, she is the Shruti Mata, Maya. Shruti is a part of Maya. Maya is a part of Shruti only. So that Haimavati is explaining Indra that the one you were looking for is Brahman. So basically, like, it is giving the knowledge about Brahma Vidya it is giving. That comes only from Shastra. So Shastra is the Pramana. So basically, the depiction there is that Shastra is the Pramana. You have to approach Shastra basically to get that knowledge, and finally the inquiry also has to be there. So there was a dialogue where Haimavati was explaining, Uma was explaining this to Indra as an explanation. So it always comes one to one through explanation, Vichara only is what is depicted there. So the first part, whatever was abstract, in the second part, it is given with all the characters so that mind can grab onto that even better. So in short, this is what this entire Upanishad is all about. And the point that is being delivered again and again is that Brahman is that Vastu which is everything, and that which is everything, okay, will be obviously in everything which is here, because everything is existing in that only. Whether it is person 1, 2, 3, or whether it is object 1, 2, 3, or whether it is a creature 1, 2, 3, in all this, Brahman is available in the same measure as any other object. Same measure. It has no size or shape or whatever. It is just available. In fact, in that, all the objects thrive. All these creatures thrive. All these people thrive. The compartmentalization happens when the person is carrying the buffet along. See yourself as a person who is witnessing the buffet. Job is done. So this is the summary of this Upanishad. I would open the session for discussions now. Anyone?
But I think the whole purpose here, again, we come to what we started from Vivek Chudamani till today, is that the purpose is to detach. You leave this buffet and then look at it, but as a human being, we always try to carry everything along with us.
Agree. There is one main difference here actually. When it is seen as a conscious, a physical detachment or mental detachment from what we are not supposed to be attached to, when it is seen that way, that is more a prescription for sadhana. Because if, for example, if jumping around 8 feet is the sport which I want to get into, I should be able to jump at least 10 inches to start with, at least, where I should be able to skip at least to attain 1 feet height. From there on, I can go to 8 feet or 10 feet, 12 feet, whatever, of high jump. Sadhana is basically achieving that 1 feet height first. That's eventually going to lead us to 8 feet or 10 feet. So when a person is at the level of sadhana, that is more a prescription. Please do this. Why? Only then you will be able to attain the next thing. So vichara is possible only when we do sadhana. So that is where a prescription comes. But the second part is knowledge. There is no prescription. There is only revelation of truth, where Shastra is trying to make a person see the folly in understanding. That's all. So effort is more in the Purva Bhaga, where sadhana has to be done. That first 1 feet jump is much more difficult than gaining that next 12 feet. Because next 12 feet is going to be much more easier. There it is even physical, but here it is mental. So here, once sadhana is done, prescription is for sadhana. On the other side, Veda cannot prescribe, Upanishad cannot prescribe saying, boss, please understand you are this only. Don't ask me any question. We cannot say this actually. All the questions were accumulated in Purva Bhaga. That's why a person has come here. He has done Putra Kameshti Yaga, Ashwamedha Yaga, every Yaga he has done actually. And he has got a huge empire. And finally he is thinking he is a small boy. He's thinking everything is a void. Because he saw someone who died actually. Buddha ji also saw that actually. He got perturbed. What is happening now? Oh God. And he was a king himself actually. So when that happens, suddenly he comes back, from all the emperorship to totally a confused person to understand what is happening. Actually, I want to understand what the hell is happening. Then says, yeah, this is hell only. Don't worry about it. But there is a way to get out of it. That's where Shastra comes into picture. So this is where the situation is. The first part for sadhana, that's where prescription is involved. After that, no prescription, it's only understanding. It's revealing the fact. So when mind is able to see the fact as it is, job is done. After that, no physical effort to detach oneself from the buffet. No physical effort required. There it is knowledge. So all that we are trying to do is, with the conscious practice, giving the mind that ability to assimilate truth, the knowledge that is being revealed by Shastra, and while understanding that, or by understanding that, the permanent detachment is achieved. And in that permanent understanding, we also understand that what we gave up was anitya, and you are that nitya vastu. After that, we don't talk about that gallbladder. Because if it is anitya, we know it is anitya, and we concluded it as anitya because it is something which exists in time and keeps on changing. And who is saying this? The one who can never change. The one who can never change only can say that, this is changing. For example, we keep this Shruti box in music. Why? It comes sa, pa, sa. So these are the benchmarks. So of all the Sapta Swara, sa and pa, they are taken as fixed actually. Okay, they don't oscillate. For example, let me give you this example. Sa, re. When I say the note exactly at that particular place, like digital, it will be like this. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. Sa is just the next octave. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. These are the 7. Now, there is something called oscillation where this re you can take to ga and bring it back for embellishment. So, sa, re, ga, Riga, that Riga is there, right? If I just do this, so Riga, Riga, Ri. So that's what I'm doing. So when I do it in instrument, you will come to know much easily. I'll be doing like this actually. Riga, Ri. So Riga. So now when I say Maga, Ga. So Maga, I can also say, I can bring Ga from Ma. Ga. Ma, pa. So, ma, from ga I can take to ma, but when I say pa, it has to be absolute pa. Sa, we can never say, sa, we never say this. Sa has to be fixed. Sa is always fixed. Pa is always fixed. See, in 7, so you need like a reinforcement, right? Other things can change. Some basic structure you need. So that reinforcement is sa and pa. And so nicely, it is called Shruti. Shruti and Shruti Mata. So it is called Shruti actually. So that Shruti has to be maintained. Sa and Pa, they are fixed. Riga, Ma and the Ni, they can oscillate to give embellishment. So, a variable thing becomes variable only in the presence of a fixed thing.
Fixed thing. Yes.
It is relative. Similarly, a world can keep on coming and going in the presence of one thing which is fixed. That fixed thing, one has to understand, is not space, it is consciousness, and it is oneself. Because world includes space. Swamiji very nicely says, it is not like, first day Ishvara will create space first, one box. Like Amazon, they will create one box, packing material ordered. And then the next day manufacturing of earth bana do bhai, theek hai. There is another plant who is saying abhi ye tu Jupiter bana do, theek hai. There will be Lord for that actually saying boss ye bhi bana do, like he's Prajapati, and what Prajapati is the name, right? So he gives order to all these people saying one more planet. Oh, by the way, I forgot to order some satellites, by the way. So Jupiter needs some 17 satellites, so make that also. Maybe right now you may have a capacity constraint, बाद में कर लो जब भी चलेगा एक, लेकिन main planet तो दे दो पहले. So this is not the way things work. He doesn't order space first and then he orders the material and other things. It doesn't work that way. When world comes, it comes along with space straight away. So for our understanding, in Sankhya also it is mentioned that Brahma plus Maya is space. From space comes air, then water, then fire, then earth, and then Oshadaya, right? Akashad Vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agnerapah Adya Prithivi Prithivya Oshadayah Oshadibhyonnam Annat Purushah. From there it comes like this actually. So it is said, it is all right. But Ishvara is not limited, right? Where he has to first create space, wait for ordering the planets to be manufactured and fabricated. It doesn't work that way. Everything comes together. So basically, everything, the changing thing, you can package it as space and time both actually, including they are variable with respect to one particular thing that is invariable, like the sapa, that shruti. That shruti is oneself. That is consciousness, and that is oneself. The beauty is, or the pity or beauty, I don't know what to call it actually. It is just oneself. It is just oneself, and you have to travel only from oneself to oneself. And in between, you have satsang for this. I'd forget. At least it is good that it is satsang, because that factor of the entire journey of reaching from one to there can take births, can take janmas, many janmas. So what we do ideally is, by being contemplative and being in this journey, we are bringing it down at least to this janma. And if we are strong enough and resolved enough in terms of mumuksha, that resolution is coming from mumukshatvam, right? And shraddha. So if we are resolved enough, the time itself, this janma also, for example, if we have another 50 years or 100 years, we can shrink it down to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maximum 5 years, let's say. So that's how this process shrinks it down, the process of knowing. And I'm sure, someone can ask this question also. Come on, are you saying that we will be out of this world once we understand this, and we will not be born again? Then how will I enjoy world? How will I enjoy this pani puri of, some place, Ahmedabad or Bangalore, wherever? What will I do then? Again, that's where Maya plays a role actually, saying Maya will not allow you to go out of gravity. So you want to go at given one point in time, you want to have this escape gravity to just get launched. And then Maya brings back you down to earth with the pani puri. Maya can do this. It can do this. So that's where one has to have that escape velocity energy, kind of energy, to really launch and get out of this wrong understanding. And ideally, you do not travel anywhere. You travel from yourself to yourself only. From the confused yourself to the right yourself. So leave the buffet outside, be the observer. So that point was, in the presence of something which is permanent, all impermanent things are understood. So Shastra has a methodology where it talks about varieties of impermanent things to make one understand, one become objective to those varieties, and throw them out for good into a dustbin which is not required at all. But most of the time, we revisit the dustbin and say, I think actually I am this only. How can Shastra say I am not that? No, let me take it and put it into my pocket. I am this actually. Pranamaya, God is saying, come on here, digestion to chahiye. So I will put it here actually. Whatever we try to throw, we revisit actually. Revisiting should be done for many other things. We don't do that. Revisiting we do for the things which are already thrown. And we want to bring it back actually. So this is what happens. But nothing wrong. Enjoy that. Make a joke on yourself. And be objective to yourself. Make a joke on yourself. Enjoy it actually. Nothing wrong. That is how it is. But we know what is right and what Shastra is going to reveal and what kind of status we'll be getting. A total objectivity once we crack it. Until then, we can always enjoy all these positions, status. Nothing wrong in that. Yes, Manishji.
Yes.
So anyone else having any other point, right? From the book or any point you want to share about Atma Vidya, even if it is not related to Kenopanishad? Any experience, any new thought, any thought that is contradicting what we are learning? Everything is fine. I think discussion is very, very important actually. The discussion is only going to remove doubts.
The one thing which I read this Kenopanishad part which you were explaining today, that Yaksha appeared and then Vayu went there and Agni went and Vayu went and Yaksha was Brahman. But then if Brahman is then how did it appear as a Yaksha? Because Brahman is everything.
Yes. That's why I think it was given as figurative. So that's why I mentioned that Ishvara. So he was presented as Ishvara, not as Nirguna Brahman. So Ishvara being there actually. See, if I have to say, see, when an illustration has to be given, or when when an illustration has to be given, things have to be brought to the level of mind actually for it to perceive. Though it can be shown that Yaksha is not available, people are not able to make out, to that extent they can provide. But something has to be made available. That's the reason Yaksha appears as Yaksha. Otherwise, if the principle of electricity has to be taught without showing anything, it's going to be very difficult actually. So otherwise, for example, if we have this hydroelectric project, right? From there at source, I don't know what kind of voltage it will be having there actually. If everyone were to given the experience of electricity by touching the power there at the generator, that inquirer will definitely go. Yes, his ignorance will remain. Unfortunately, that power will not, that shock will not kill his ignorance. Annamaya is gone, straight away gone. Bichara, he is thrown. Unfortunately, no, that body is thrown. But that propensity to get the body unfortunately remains. That shock cannot kill that. Ignorance cannot be killed by shock. Okay. So, for someone to experience shock, you have to reduce the voltage and give it in a cell or some other way actually, maybe 5 volts, 10 volts is still fine. But straight away, 420 or 1000 volts and all you give, person is gone actually straight away. So, Brahman appearing in the form of Yaksha can transact with people. Brahman at his level need not transact at all actually. So, it is depicted actually. That's how it's So that's why Swamiji says Ishvara. So Ishvara is manifest as Jagat here.
Hariom Bhaskar-ji. Bhaskar-ji, I just wanted to add in the same line as you're saying that, the hydroelectric power station, we can't show electricity. Similarly, like since our very childhood, we are taught structure of cell or atom. We are shown there's the nucleus, positive charges and the negative charges. And we, as, even as adults, whenever anybody says an atom, I just imagine a nucleus. I see there's a circle with positive charges and then there are electrons, they are just revolving in those their respective shells. But much later in life, I got to know that later I can say it was pointed out to me that there are no particular shells. You can't just see those parts. It is just a pictorial representation of an atom. So similarly, as you're saying, similarly probably we have these Puranic stories. Or here in this Kenopanishad, Yaksha was brought out and Shruti Mata was brought out as a Hemavati. It is just a pictorial representation of what is being taught.
Yes.
So, as you're saying, easy to understand for the mind, but actually it is not. Like in an atom, there are not shells, different shells that we are having. But because, in all our books it is that only, and if it is never pointed out, probably we'll never realize. We'll always see atom like that.
Yeah. Agree. Even I would also want to see atom like that only under a microscope. I would have wanted to see it that way. Yes, you are right. A nice example.
So for understanding that atom, it's just a thought. Understanding an atom, we have a pictorial representation of there is a nuclei, then there are electrons revolving, so there is a positive charge and so neutrons, protons in the and electrons. So actually speaking, if we look at Brahman, So Brahman has something, but it cannot be explained unless and until we picturize it, or cannot be explained unless and until we are able to, the mind is able to understand something. Otherwise, it is, what do we call Brahman as? Brahman is something, because as we understand, space is also Brahman.
Correct.
So I was in one of this thing I was reading about that today, now as science, if I say, as the science is growing, few years back we started talking about that the scientists have discovered something which is called as a dark energy, which is beyond space. So space is also the part of the dark energy, and everything else has been formed by dark energy. Until today, we were not aware of dark energy. And there is no proof of dark energy. Even today, there is no proof of dark energy. But it is a study which... So, is that something which the science is reaching towards understanding Brahman?
See, anyone who wants to understand something, they want to understand the totality only. So science is that which goes behind concepts or material to understand what is the principle, what is the stable principle which can be given as science. Okay, if it is this is how it looks. Gold, it will look yellow all the time. All the time what we are trying to do is, we want to have something predictable. So we want a predictable knowledge to be kept in us. That's all. Basically what we want to do, we want to know the truth. And when things keep changing, we have a problem. For example, if an item, same element, appears in two types, again we don't like it. So then how do we anchor it? We anchor it saying, okay, it is an isotype, it can exist this way also. It's an isotype, we call it. So everything we want to categorize, we want to give a name to it. Why? Finally what happens is, every verb or anything, whatever for that matter, finally has to come to one noun, because noun is what you can carry. So if I have to explain sun, I can give 1,000 pages to explain what is happening in sun actually. Helium 2, helium coming to 1, fusion reaction, energy going out, this, that, over a period of time. This is a total helium available there. In 50 billion years, everything will become 1 unit or whatever, and then it will burst, and all stories we can write. But this entire story, which is sun, which is that thing, is just packed in one thing called sun. That's it. So what we want to do is, we want to have knowledge in the fist as best as possible. That's the reason ATM card, you feel more powerful, because entire money is in that. Something which you can just grasp as a simple thing with you, but it has the power of everything that we like a lot. So in knowledge, more often than not, everything, all verbs, you will package it as one noun. That's what is happening. So everything we would like to know as a predictable knowledge. When I think of something, I should know what is behind it. That's what is science all about. Shastra is just doing that. Shastra is just revealing the fact. And Shastra is able to reveal the fact because Shastra comes from that place where ignorance happens. That's the reason it is able to show where the thing happened. For example, if you are creating a puzzle, you know what the answer is. So you will also give the answer somewhere in ulta fashion, so that people take some more time to understand it. But then it is given at least. So while explaining Brahman, since something has to be told, that's the reason Shastra also says Satchidananda. Sat, what is Sat? Sat is that which exists. Which means what? Which exists to the exclusion of others. Whether other things exist or not, this exists. So that is how it is actually. This will always exist. So that is absolute existence. That is existence itself is that only. And then Chit. So it is just a blank existence where only it is like a packing material, or just a space where other things can be. No, it is a content. It is Chit. It is existence and it is Chit. The entire cognition or cognitive ability comes only from Chit actually. Chit. And then what? Ananta. Endless. So Sat also kind of means Ananta in a way, and Ananta is also to some extent that, but when you take it as Ananda, that's why Sachid Ananda also comes. Ananda is that which is ever happy. Because you see, in a case where there is only one thing, there is no worry about I am not talking about marriage. When there is only one thing, there is no worry about happiness or sadness. So when there is only Brahman Advitiya, there is no measure of happiness or sadness, right? But for mind to understand, things have to be told only in the sense of happiness and sadness. That's the reason that word Ananda is given. Otherwise, we don't have to say that there is something called Swarupa Ananda. We don't need to say that. It is said from the mind's understanding that I have limitations. I have sugar. I cannot eat this gulab jamun which is offered to me. This limitation it is feeling. That's where you have to tell simplicity. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't be unhappy because you are not able to eat gulab jamun. You have sugar. The real you is not this body. Body has sugar, all this, it's fine. So you are not that. Then he says, okay, so I leave the body. Again, I am coming to Annamaya. I leave the body, so no sugar, it's fine. But then I have a craving for eating, no. So that is not body, no. I say, TK, that is mine. Then you will say, go to a counselor. Counselor will tell you there is something called mind, which that person can, manipulate and make it understand. Oh, if it can be manipulated, is it me? Yeah, thank God you asked this question. Exactly, now you understand. It is not you, that is Manomaya. First you threw Annamaya, now it is Manomaya. Is it so? Fine, I throw this. No, but then I feel that, all this, he will use the buddhi after that actually. Saying that, no, if both these can be like this, but still why do I think like this? Why do you have this right and wrong? Why are you a counselor to tell me all these things? Asking the Shruti itself. Then they will say, boss, you are now trying to use your Vijnanamaya. Don't try all these tricks on me. It is also the same product. It's a product. How that will be nullified? For Vijnanamaya to thrive, you should eat first. Acha, ठीक है. So Annamaya, in any case you throw it na. So automatically now throw it because this is dependent on Annamaya finally. Acha, ठीक है, वो भी throw कर देता हूँ. That then it will progress again that way actually. Finally, then you'll have to come to the refined self. The refined self is only self, without anyone else, without anything else. So the Satchit Ananda is mentioned only because mind understands only this language. No. If you give something else, it will not even understand what it is actually. So Satchit Ananda, these are relative terms which mind can understand. By giving a combination of these terms, Shastra explains that which cannot be explained in terms. That's the beauty. Brahman cannot be explained in terms because he is Nirguna. Something which is Nirguna, how can you even explain in terms actually? It will be beautiful actually, it will be nice to ask, go around here to understand. Forget Brahman. Can someone explain space? I want people to explain space actually. Just attempt, say something in any language. I am fine with it. Attempt to explain space. The space what we see. Just try. I mean, this is a challenge I am giving to everyone. Each one in today's session, definitely we should achieve this. We have to define what is space.
So should I go?
Yeah, please.
First. So space is an we can say empty area or occupied area which we can see or cannot see. Empty and occupied, both the areas.
Okay. Nice way. Anyone else? Nice way.
No, which goes beyond all frontiers, everything which exists everywhere.
Okay. Nice. Anyone else? So we'll take the example of these two, whatever language we used. So Ashish was using the language seeing actually. Seeing that which can be seen, that which cannot be seen, both the places, whatever is there is space. So he is using Chakshuhu as the example. So Indriya, he is using seeing, that sense organ he is using as the example in his definition. Manishji was using the sense of place again, location, how far it can be, what kind of size it can be. So this is more from an inference perspective, something which is beyond our perception. It is more inference actually. So that is the faculty you are using. More of mind you are using actually as a faculty. Ashish was using eyes as the faculty. Yes, Ambika ji, you want to say something? Someone raise the hand.
Yes.
Hanji.
Well, I want to try.
Huh.
Like, we can say, for example, just for example, we can see a tabletop, right? But see it in a 3D dimension. Tabletop having something thickness. Think of a tabletop having some kind of some field, maybe electric field or magnetic field. Something is there. Now extend its boundaries
Okay.
of tabletop. I mean, it is limitless. But there is some field, maybe it magnetic, electric, or something like that, and like planets and all things are there inside it, the field. This is what space.
Okay, understand. Okay, so basically you are going more from kind of a space with all these objects, kind of galaxies. So that's the kind of way you are looking at. Fine. So this is a combination of our mental ability as well as what we can see in front. So I think you made a mix of both these. So Ashish was concentrating on seeing as the faculty, and Manishji was concentrating more from a mind perspective, and you are mixing both these. So this is how we are doing. So when we are trying to explain something abstract, we are coming back to things which we can see and touch or feel. So we are talking about energy, we are talking about gross objects, we are talking about location, distance, infinity. So we are talking about all these things, right? So basically anything can be conveyed only in the field of what mind understands. The tricky part here is so nice actually that Shastra is able to bring all these finite words only to reveal what that infinite is, and it is able to do only because of one thing, because that infinite happens to be oneself, yourself. This is the only reason why it is able to even attempt doing that. Otherwise it would have been impossible for it to do it actually.
But sir, one more thing. Today when we talk in terms of knowing Brahman, but knowing space itself is so difficult, then, and space is a part of Brahman. So it's a one fraction of Brahman is space. One of the aspects.
Absolutely.
And understanding space itself. So even if we see not from just from the Shastra perspective, but even if we see it from the science perspective, we are still trying to know what is space, so we have not been able to know the space in totality.
Yeah. See,
so even our Brahman is growing, even it's expanding cosmos. We talk in terms of, and what is the limitation, what is, that also we don't know. And Brahman is even above that.
But the point is very clear that it is culminating into one thing, right? Brahman is, when we say it is above that, that's why the circular thing is very nice. That circle is an amazing thing. If you are standing at a point as an inquirer to understand where the world is, okay, you give up this Annamaya, Pranamaya, everything you give up, and everything gross you are giving up, Panchabhuta you are giving, everything you are giving up. As you give up, this entire circle comes back to oneself where we are actually. That's where the amazing thing is. When we say it is above, that above thing is basically coming as a circle and it is coming back to us. The point is it is coming back to oneself. That's where the journey is ending, and that's where the possibility is there actually. It is not remote.
So is it something which I can understand? It's just a like a question in the sense that what we are trying to understand is always about outside. Science is all about outside.
You are coming to the point.
And if you have to understand Brahman, then you have to understand yourself.
So, exactly. Since understanding oneself, what was said in Viveka Chudamani, what was the model used there? it uses Atma as the witness. The
Yes,
witness part, it puts into a centrifuge, takes out everything that is gross and brings it to Atma. That's what it is doing. And world it puts into a centrifuge where everything vanishes, including space, and then what remains is you and Brahman only. And that point it makes a statement Tat Tvamasi. That's all. That's where the distance is taken out completely and it is cracked actually. So that's what is happening. While explaining, this is the reason it is talking about Panchabhuta, this. So how did it explain Atma? Atma in that definition is a centrifuge actually. Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatirikta Panchakosha Atita San Avastha Traya Sakshi Satchidananda Swarupaha Sanyastishtati Sa Atma. This is given in Tattvabodha. So that which is beyond these three bodies, that which is beyond the three states, that which is beyond the Panchakosha, and that which is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananta. Basically, the Chit part one has to understand. In this entire body, if you put into the centrifuge of this particular definition, we obtain ourselves as Chit. That's all. Chit is the only part of this which can survive. Everything else goes off, including space. That which can never be destroyed, it also goes off because it's a part of Panchabhuta. It's a part of gross world. It also goes off. What remains is only Chit. And now when they explain Brahman, they also explain Brahman as Satchidananda. There also Chit is there. Then when here I have understood that I am that Chit, I always exist. Forget whether it is world or Brahman. I know very clearly I exist. If this conclusion is very clearly done when Atma is explained, this is where it is called Atma Vichara. Brahma Vidya is Atma Vidya to start with. This is where when Varuna and Vayu or Agni and Vayu, they went to Yaksha, asked him, Yaksha, by the way, who are you? Yaksha says, boss, you tell me, Pali, who are you? Who are you actually? Pali, tum ye batao bhai. So, that's what Shastra is doing. We come for Brahma Vidya. It is turned into Atma Vidya by Shastra. Know yourself, Brahman is automatically known. How? You are not any of this gross body. You are not any of this Panchakosha. Not even subtle body. Not even causal body. And you are of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. And Sat is only explaining that I always remain. Ananda only says that I am always happy. Swarupa Ananda. But Chit is that which is basically me. That Chit is very important. Chit is me. Not like Chit. It is me. So I am consciousness. So that has to be the conclusion when this is told, when I am put into the centrifuge of Atma definition. Atma Vichara, I understand I am Chit. Simple. The moment I am Chit, next statement Shastra is going to say, okay, you could throw out everything of world in the centrifuge and nothing remained there. Yes. You could throw your body, mind, sense complex and inquirer into the centrifuge and you came out as Chit. Yes. Because when the world went off, ideally this body also went off along with the world itself. First centrifuge mein wo bhi chala gaya. But still, for my understanding, I want to still keep, because my mind can only understand everything else going to the centrifuge and not me. At the first stage at least. ठीक है, world chala gaya, you are there, happy. World chala gaya, तो oxygen bhi chala gaya na, how can I exist? Annamaya chala gaya na, how can I exist? Ideally not. But anyway, for the status, let me keep. For my next stage at least, let the inquirer be available. Yes. First centrifuge, world is gone. Second centrifuge, everything related to world is gone. Chit remains. Now who are you? I am Chit. This statement we have made. Now next statement, when you have to ask the question, now you have to culminate, right? Okay, Shastra, world, we started with 3. Myself.
So you cannot say I am Chit of Bhaskar.
Yeah, you're right.
I am Chit of
Absolutely. Because when the world went off and the body went off, that skin definition is gone. Name is gone along with that. Name is there only when I have this form. Form and name go together. When Chit is without form, the form part already is gone. Mind is also, everything is gone. Name is also gone along with that actually. Now the new name given is Atma or Chit, whatever. New name is this actually, which is everywhere. But what is Atma? It is everywhere. It is Ananta. Satchit Ananda, Satchit Ananta. That is how it is actually. then this question will come to Shastra, because Shastra is helping us. No, we have to keep on erasing it. ठीक है भाई, world चला गया, ये सब चला गया, I am Chit. But you said no first. नित्य वस्तु एकम ब्रह्म तद व्यतिरिक्तम सर्वम नित्यम. वो ब्रह्मन कहाँ है, वो बताओ अभी. That's where Shastra says, अरे यार दिमाग मत खाना, you are that only. You are that only. Oh, but you said finally no. Initially you said that I have to pursue that now. That's what I am going to do all the way. But now you are saying it is not there at all. Yeah, but be happy that you are only there everywhere. No. But at that time when you go back to square one saying no, but at least I want to see Brahman once, Shastra will give up. Shastra will give up and it will really think कि माया मैंने क्यों produce किया भाई. So I am not able to undo that now. Uma will get confused. So thank God at least Indra was not of that level. He was convinced and he got the knowledge when he was given actually in this Kenopanishad at least. But yes, mind can play havoc. Even when Aikya is about to happen, it can play havoc. That's why, when it was also shown, right, through the life of sage Vishwamitra. He wanted to become a Brahma Rishi. Normally we think Brahma Rishi means one who is capable of, using Brahmastra. That's how it is depicted to a larger extent. But understand this is Brahma Vidya. Basically he wanted to become a Brahma Rishi. Sage Vyasa, he goes to sage Vasishtha. So he has that quarrel with sage Vasishtha. And he challenges him saying, I am also Brahma Rishi. Sage Vasishtha says, you are not, because sage Vasishtha was a Brahma Rishi. He says, you give me also that title. He's saying, you cannot get the title like that. You have to earn it actually. So he said, now I'll do this penance and come. Every time he did, people ensured that, they were giving him trouble and he never did it actually. So Indra was also, he is competitive guy actually. He said, nee, this guy will get so much of powers. Let me send Mereka or some kind of a person to, go and disturb him. So every time he wanted to get that level, there was a disturbance. Same thing happens in Atma Vidya also. As you are almost about to culminate and finish it, mind will give one doubt actually. That doubt is, the depiction of what can be sent to, distort us. This happens. Mind is capable of everything actually. With all this, finally we have to come. Now you understand why we need sadhana. Because mind is capable of bringing in an illegitimate doubt. It is capable. So, nice. Thanks, Maheshji. And thanks, Sonia, for supplementing. So, if there is no other question, then we can conclude the session. Fine. We'll chant Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir.